Let's get it. Hobby with Cage, episode 191. I'm going to do that now because we get to 200. I'll try to get to 200 within 2 years, do 100 episodes a year as a soloist, a solo act. It's like 1,200 or so episodes in the last 5 years. Pretty crazy. Pretty nuts to think about. I come on here today with a renewed sense of excitement, invigorated, if you will. And it's funny how that happens. And I don't know whether or not there's a recipe for this, whether or not there's something that I can come on and make a video like that dude who's losing his hair, or the many stock pickers that you see, and it's like, here's my system. Here's the algorithm. I got the algorithm. No, I have, what worked for me. And it's funny because I made the news last week. And the news last week was take a week off. Go find a beach, go find a sunrise, sunset, whatever it may be, because the hobby will be waiting there for you with the same old scams and blah, 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 blah. And it was very cynical. And I think part of the reason for that was I had stepped away for a minute. And when you're in it, and you're just doing the same thing over and over again, consuming the content that's out there, just kind of looking what's on Instagram and Twitter, you name it, you see the same stuff on repeat, the same attacks of the same things. And it's all valid, right? I mean, we shouldn't stop that. We should continue to try to mold the space into a more inclusive space, a more welcoming space, a space that doesn't have so much of an education hurdle for new people to come in, a place where new people will want to come in and not get burned and killed and waste their money and lose their money and get scammed. And so all that stuff is valid. But what's fun is if you're in the weeds on that so much and you're seeing all that stuff, you sometimes miss the forest for the trees. You sometimes forget to take a look at all of the good things that are going on in the space. And I got to tell you, I did that one news episode where it's like, all right, well, take a break, take a week off, go, don't worry, the hobby will be there with the same stuff. But then I came back, I did the news yesterday, and it wasn't the same stuff. And I took a step back and I said, wow, look at what's happened just in this week. I mean, within the last week, there were 3 7-figure sales. I think all of last year, thank you, Chris Hoge, for posting this kind of cool stuff out there. I think there were 6 total $1 million plus sales all of 2024. And you had 3 in one weekend. I think Golden and maybe 2 Heritage, the Babe Ruth rookie in PSA 7. You had the Clemente rookie in PSA 9, both breached $1 million. And then you had the, in the Golden 100, you had the LeBron exquisite RPA out of 23, the gold version of it, sell for like $1 million too. You had the Wemby sell for $860,000 after he's out for the season. That could have, it was close to $1 million in and of itself, but that could have hit the $1 million if he was, playing and wasn't injured. That alone, top line, right? It's interesting to see that, right? Because that takes care of the high end, the top of the market. Like, it's clearly there. There are people clearly there with money to spend, and people feel comfortable putting their money in this space again, maybe more so than they had in the last couple of years, just as evidence we haven't had a weekend like that in years. So, that's just top line. Bottom line, on the exact other side, you want to talk about, high-end investing, high-end collecting. The other side, just take a step back and look at what Topps Rips Night looked like. The hobby Rip Night, where I put it in my news and somebody from across the pond mentioned that there was, a big-time soccer player who was one of the stores in, I think it was in England, showed up and was ripping cards in England. And I'm like, I didn't see that. I would have posted it. I'm trying to find it now, just so that I don't completely mess it up. But yeah, it was, they're everywhere, right? Everywhere. And yeah, Mike Trout buying cards for people. That's a cool post, right? That's a cool thing for people to see, right? If I was, if I was over there, I would say, if I was outside of the hobby, let's say, right? If I was somebody who, I can't find it, I feel bad, but they mentioned some soccer player was at it because I'm putting posts of like Mike Trout and Frank Thomas and Jaden Daniels was there, and Michael Rubin and all these folks are out at hobby shops. Think about how cool that is. If you're somebody new or you're a kid who doesn't really buy cards, or if you're a Pokemon collector, there's no, unless you're on OnlyFans and paying somebody to say Pika, you're not meeting, Charizard at an event, but you can meet Midleague Neighbors, you can meet, Jaden Daniels, you can meet Jordan Lawler. These stores had a bunch of people. You want to meet the Miz at Burbank? You want to meet Mike Trout? That's cool. That's fun stuff. It really is. I have to go to my LCS because I was on vacation. He's a little rinky-dink store, a hole in the wall. He doesn't have, an athlete coming there. But I'm pretty sure when I go in there to pick up the box for Ian's Friday opening this week, he'll probably have a T-shirt for him. And maybe a couple of, Hobby Rip Night pack. He had an event. And that's the first time he's had that in years. Because he's always said to me that Fanatics, this is an episode for another day, by the way. Fanatics, when they took over, was less of a partner and more of a competitor. And I think he might be softening on that stance a little bit. If they're going to throw events like this, or they're going to give him stuff to throw events to bring people into the store. He sponsors Little League teams. He's able to get those guys into his store now, give them some Hobby Rip Night free packs and, T-shirts, and maybe their dads and moms and uncles and cousins and whoever else are going to get into collecting or buy some packs from them. It gets people excited. And that's kind of, the goal here, right? You want excitement around this. You want happiness around this. You want people to be excited to be in the space. And you have that in spades, right? Think of all that stuff. And then to layer on top of it, right? Look at what the high-end market is doing in some of the collector base, some of the GOATs, right? Look at the prices being paid for LeBron cards, Kobe cards, Jordan cards, Messi cards, Brady cards. It's that's sort of a baseline for everything else, right? Because if people aren't willing to pay for those, then why the hell would you do a repack to try to get a Jaden Daniels? The reason why people buy Jaden Daniels or a Caitlin Clark or a Wemby is because of the hope, the promise that they could one day attain the level or maybe surpass the level of some of those greats that are out there now. So you have to see people paying big money for these greats in order to justify spending on the modern stuff. And it's there in spades. You don't have to look too far to see it. And then the excitement level, forget about it. Just last night, and I had to come on and do this for a bunch of reasons. Man, NBA, that product's been pretty sour for a while. We watched the NFL. What a great Super Bowl. We'll talk about the NFL in a second. But NBA, let's start. Whether you like it or not, super teams are here to stay. I saw a cool, funny post like, Shaq in a Bulls jersey with Michael Jordan next to me. He's like, if I knew you could join up, I would have joined the Bulls. Think about Shaq and Jordan on the same team in the 90s. Would have been pretty interesting. I guess Jordan couldn't have really won any more than he already won, but they're pretty crazy, right? But think about it, right? The Lakers. I watched that game last night. If Luka stayed in the whole first quarter, he could have had a triple-double in the first quarter. He definitely could have had one in the first half. I think he came close. I think he had 12 points and, 11 boards and 7 or 8 assists in the first half. It was against his old team, and obviously the team didn't have any of their front line, no Gafford, no, Likely, and no, Anthony Davis. But man, that's a fun thing to watch. And they're the 4 seed. There's people talking about them as a legitimate playoff run. And what's Luka going to look like going forward? And what does this do for his legacy? People are excited about Luka again and paying big money for his cards, because now he could potentially be the next in that long line of greats. That those Laker greats. Laker. You had Wilt wear the Lakers jersey for a while. You had Kareem wear the Lakers jersey. You had Magic Johnson wear that jersey. James Worthy with him, and Kobe, LeBron. Is Luka just the next? Who knows? But it's fun to watch. And the NBA product, come on, think about it from a card level, right? I mean, it's invigorating the LeBron market. It's invigorating the Luka market. Hell, you could say it's invigorating the Kobe market because just the Lakers are front and center again as sort of the franchise, right? Even though Boston is the defending champs, you don't really hear too much about them, and they're doing doing great also. You got Cleveland bringing some new blood to it. New York, although they don't seem to do too well against the the cream of the crop, they're out there winning a lot of stuff too. But then you got the West. You got Denver nipping at the heels of OKC. Not just from a team standpoint, but that MVP race is going to be interesting. And those guys play each other a couple times down the stretch. The season that the Joker is putting up, whew, and he may not win the MVP. As a matter of fact, Vegas is telling you it's very unlikely he's going to win the MVP. You got 4-1 odds on him right now. The prohibitive betting favorite is SGA, and he deserves it. Look at the wins they're throwing up there. But just from a numbers standpoint, I'll give the nod to the Joker, and we'll see how that. But think about that, right? Because all the storylines, all the things I just talked about, it makes me want to go out and buy some cards. It makes me want to go buy a Joker. It makes me want to. Why don't I have an SGA in my collection? Hey, Luka and LeBron, are your investments in those cards safer now because of the potential for what they may do going forward in the next couple of years? Hell, LeBron. He looks great still. He can play till he's 50. The NFL? You want to talk about some excitement? Go look at what the Philly show is bringing. I mean, I'm excited because the Nationals right around the corner. I'm starting to get emails about national content. I'm starting to get emails about, what we're going to do, leading up to the National and like what we'll do while we're there. And, am I available to do this, this, and this? And that's awesome. I'm always available. National is awesome. I don't have a hotel yet. But I don't care. I'll just fly there and sleep on a couch. I'll smell by like the third day, but we'll figure it out. But you got to be excited about that. Like that is literally right there. That's on the horizon. It's not that far away. You got, I don't have tickets for it yet either, but I'm sure I'm going to find a way into Fanatics Fest. In the month before the National. And now look at the Philly show. The Eagles win the Super Bowl. You want to go meet Jalen Hurts? He's there. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Cooper DeJean. My son, we're going to go. I got to buy my ticket for Cooper DeJean auto. But you know what's even funnier? You want to talk about like expanding the hobby? My daughter wants to come. She wants to meet Cooper DeJean. I'm sure it's not because she wants to buy cards of him. I think she wants to take a picture with him. But come on now. Think about that. That is awesome. And kudos to the Philly show, right? It's one thing to say, hey, look, the Super Bowl champs in our backyard. It's another thing to go out there and actually get these guys. Figure out a way to get them there. And think about from like an autograph or a memorabilia collector. Somebody could spend a weekend in Philly, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and get a helmet signed with like almost everybody. You got the coach. You got Big Dom. You got Howie, the architect. You got all the players. Haven't seen Saquon yet. Sorry. I don't know if Philly show may sneak that in at the end. I haven't seen Saquon yet, but maybe Saquon's taking a break. Maybe he's on vacation. But everybody else, sweat. You could really line up a Super Bowl champ Eagles helmet or a poster or whatever it is, get your ticket signed, get a program signed. You could really get a nice, cool, fun piece of memorabilia, and more importantly, have some stories that go with it too, because like you could really go in there and like meet all these guys. That's pretty cool. I've been to the Philly show before. They're pretty generous with their time. I mean, I got some fun pictures with Devontae Smith and my son, and Tyrese Maxey and my son, and Dallas Goedert and the crew. It's fun to see. And think about what I just talked about, right? All of it combined. I haven't even talked about its baseball spring training yet. And Top Series 1 is out. And Tops and Fanatics, I got to give them a lot of credit, not just for the Rip Night, but for just trying different things. I came on here and talked about the holiday releases and how those were awesome, right? I like the holiday release. It's a good price point. But you know what was cool about it was it came out like Thanksgiving, and I was able to buy for $20 a holiday box and give it to every kid who was at Thanksgiving. I bought even cases of it and gave them out as Christmas presents. And maybe that gets new people into the hobby, and maybe that's what Fanatics is thinking about when they do this. But guess what I saw yesterday? Maybe I'll put it in my news. They're doing the same thing for Easter. Go look for it, guys, at a price point. I think they even have like tins in like Easter eggs, and they're gonna have like Easter parallels. And maybe you don't love the parallels, right? Maybe there's too many parallels. I saw a post the other day of like when I was a kid, a top set had 792 cards. That number is burned into my brain because that's how much it had. Because you could hand collate it. You bought the packs, you put the set together, and you put it in a box. You put it in your closet. You completed it. Maybe you made a second one and sold it. Who the hell knows? Now there's like 43,000 cards because of all the different parallels and the different releases and all the stuff just of tops. Like complete a top set, you need 43,000 cards and a basement to store it in. And then there's going to be more. So maybe you don't love the parallels, but who cares? That's not what it's about. It's about you're able to buy an Easter, mega box or an Easter tin and put it in the Easter basket. Give it to a kid, give it to a nephew, give it to a cousin. Tell your family members who have kids about it, who might not be in collecting. Hey, you can go get this at the store. Here it is on the Fanatics website. Here it releases on this day. It's cheap. Sure, give them all the chocolate and the peanut butter cups, but in the middle, throw a little. I do that with with my son. He's got boxes of cards in there, and now it's an Easter specific. It's kind of cool, and it's just another example of the hobby kind of moving forward. Trying to do something new, trying to get more people in, trying to do things that get people excited. And it's working for me. And maybe, combine that with the week off and, stepping away from, the same old and trying to look at it with look at what happened good for the hobby. I come back really looking to buy cards. I bought cards while I was on vacation too. And one more thing. I posted a funny thing 2 days ago, and it was my daughter came to me and said, "Hey, we're having a fundraiser for children's cancer at my school. A lot of the guys are shaving their heads. It's the St. Baldrick's. They're looking to raise. I think it's $20,000 as a school, and I think they've already raised that. And she's like, I think I'm going to shave my head. My daughter's hair is like down to the middle of her back. And I'm like, okay, I don't think the head shaving is for you. I get it. Maybe you can help shave someone's head, or even I'll shave my head if you want, but please don't. She's 15, it take a little while for that to grow back. It's going to be a little awkward, but the thought process that went into it was so pure. Right? It really was. It was like, hey, I want to do this. It's a charity thing. I want to raise money for this. And what I said to her was, I said, listen, let me post this. Let me post the charity. Let me post a link to it, and let's see if we can, raise some money. And you keep your hair. I love the thought. I love that that you're willing to do this, and that you've taken to this charity, and just to kind of throw a little personal spin on it, which I haven't shared in the story, but I'll share with you guys. We got a cancer diagnosis recently in our family, stage 4. And it's been an interesting road this last year. I feel like we're all friends. I talk to you guys pretty often. It's been a little while. I hope you forgive me. I've been on vacation, but I took about a week off. I'll come back. They'll do more episodes this week, I promise. But I feel like I can share stuff with you. We've had that. So, the cancer stuff hits home. You never know how it's going to hit. And obviously it hit my daughter in a way where she wanted to, find a way to contribute herself. Somehow that spun off to she wanted to shave her head. A little misguided. But I don't want to crap on it. But anyway, I talk about this because it's on my story. If you can't find it or you're unable, you can message me, on Instagram. I can send you a link for the St. Baldrick's donation page. But I have to thank the people who have donated. And it's another thing that has me invigorated for the hobby. You guys know who you are. I've spoken to each one of you who has donated by DM, and thank you personally. If you hear this and you donate $1, $5, whatever it is, send me a message. Just let me know that you did it. I know that you're not doing it for recognition, but I do want to just thank you guys personally. And yeah, it's on my story if you want to donate, like, $1, whatever it is. One guy messaged me yesterday and said, better I do this than a parlay. Another guy messaged me and said, I better I do this than open up 1 pack of Prism today. Like, like I could take a day off from breaks and, I do something good. So anyway, that's there's my spiel. That also it's another example of just, the community we have here is the best. I say it all the time. We have the best hobby in the world. We really do. We have some real generous people. We have some real thoughtful people. You have some great folks in the space, more so than the folks that detract from it. The folks who are doing bad, even though the ones who are doing bad often get the most press, the most headlines. I have to be mindful myself that that's not the hobby. That's just a small part that gets a lot of play, even from people like myself. So that's it, guys. There you go. I'm excited about the space for the next couple of months. Can't wait for baseball to start. Can't wait for, the NBA is really starting to cook up. I mean, it's really looking good. I forgot to mention soccer. I mean, Messi, look what he did. I mean, they're playing good games. Look at the goal he had. I mean, he got fined, I think, recently for putting his hand on like an assistant coach of an opposing team. Like, he grabbed him by the neck. I mean, he's playing with some fire. It gets you excited for, World Cup, which literally is right around the corner. He's playing some really good soccer right now. That's another thing. I mean, there's wrestling, UFC. There's just so much fun stuff going on. And this is the time of the year that you have to get excited about our space. There's so much good sports going on. There's so many good shows. The National is right around the corner. There are so many great releases coming out. This is just a fun time. I hope you guys are sharing the excitement with me. And if you're not, send me a DM so that I can get you excited. Talk to you guys soon. Take care, everybody. And thanks again.